Hi everybody, it's Christina from Card Making Magic. These little things are blending tools and they are very handy to keep in your crafting stash. I use a lot of inks and I like to have a blending block for each ink pad that I have. Now these are sized to take either the foam pads or the felt pads, and they just pop onto the end of the block and they're now ready for you to use. Now what I like to do with my blocks is write the name on the top, and I have a new block for each of the colours. And once the pads start to get a little bit worn, you just need to take the old one off and replace it with a new one. And there you are, ready to go. This is just a smooth white card. This is the 160 GSM card that I use to do my backing papers and my digital images. I have a heat resistant craft mat there because it's slippy, or you can use just a plain white tile, or another alternative is to use a splodge mat, and this is new on the market and this is an absolutely brilliant way to blend your inks. So because I've got one, I'm going to use it. So one of the things you're not, and I repeat, not going to do is load up your pad and go straight onto your paper, because if you do, you'll just get a blotchy mess, and that's not what we're aiming for. So on this white card I'm going to go for a 3-colour blend, and I'm using Victorian Velvet, Faded Jeans and Dusty Concord, and I'm always going to start with the lightest colour first. So what I'm going to do is take my pad and I'm either going to put some onto my white tile or I'm going to put some directly onto my splodge mat, and then from there I'm going to mix the colour onto my blender until it's nicely loaded up with colour, and then I'm going to start on the outer edge with the pale colour, and I'm going to start off the card and I'm going round in small circles and I'm coming further and further onto the card as I go, and as I go further onto the card it will become paler as I work my way in. And of course you can always reload up the blender if you need more ink. So once you've got enough ink on there in your pale colour, you can then go on to your darker colour. So I'm going to the next colour, which is Faded Jeans, and I'm going to press some of this onto my splodge mat, and I'm avoiding the pink that I did there, and I'm going to load the blender up in the same way, and then again working off the card first, I'm coming onto the corner and I'm going to blend my way part of the way along the pink. And then once I've done that, I can take the Dusty Concord and again in a different area just put some of my colour down, load up my blender, and again starting off the card I'm just going to go along the edge and work my way again just partly onto the blue. Now if you want that to be darker, you can just go around the edge with your blender. But there you have a pretty 3-colour blend for your cards. So there we have a 3-colour blend, and I've edged the end of the card with the darkest one with the Dusty Concord, but you can also do the same thing around your shapes, or you can pick out the pattern in your embossing. Now if you don't have a splodge mat, just load up your blender, but don't go straight onto your card. Use an old white tile and just distribute the ink around on your blender a little bit more, and then again, starting off the edge, you're just going to come straight onto your shape and just start at the edges and work your way in. And if you work your way in with your palest colour, you can do the same blending technique on this with your other 2 colours. Now if you wanted to bring out the embossing in your card, do the same technique, distribute your ink around on your blender and then just lightly bring it over your embossing, and that will just bring out the pattern in your card. And then you can always go around the edges as you've done before and just darken the edges. Now this is Centura Pearl, and this is a 2-colour blend on the Centura Pearl, and because it's a pearly card to start with, it gives you a really nice finish, but you're going to blend exactly the same. So take your ink onto your pad, distribute it evenly on your blender, start off the paper, the card, and work your way on, nice and gently, onto the card and blend it in. Now if you're going to do a 2-colour blend, you need to cover this up and start doing your other blend, because this ink stays wet for a long time, and if you touch it you will leave a fingerprint on it. What I'm going to do is change the foam pad for the felt pad, and with this we're going to use some alcohol inks, and I'm going to show you how to change a plain silver mirror card or some acetate into a nice blend. Now to change these into something different, you're going to use alcohol inks, and this one is Stream. So we have the felt pad on the blending tool, and I'm just going to dot some of the colour down, and this one is Wild Plum, so I'm just going to put some dots of that colour down, and the last one is Butterscotch, so I'm just going to put a few dots of the butterscotch down, and then with a dabbing motion all you're going to do is just dab it onto your mirror card, and if you turn it round as you're going, you will get a nice blend of your chosen colours onto your mirror card. And if the colours start to dry out on your blending tool, you can always reapply. And you can do exactly the same on your acetate, and of course paler colours will give you a paler blend, but it gives you a stained glass effect once it's done, and that's the effect on the acetate. Now you can carry on blending with your acetate and your mirror card until you're happy, and then if you pop them on one side just to dry, you're now left with a mess on your crafting mat. So if you take some blending solution and a tissue, all you're going to do is just squirt some of that onto your mat, and then with a tissue you're just going to clean it off. So there's 4 different surfaces covered. We've used ordinary card, Centura Pearl, mirror card and acetate, and that's just some ideas of how you can use your blending tools, and I'm sure you'll come up with an awful lot more.